everybody, Kathy at Northstar Prepsteader. Yeah, it's a windy day. It's the end of September and we could very well have frost this week. So I'm trying to clear out things in my garden, start getting them ready, and sorry about the wind. But today I'm focusing on my strawberry bed. Now with all of the other vegetables and all of the other foliage going on, the tomatoes so huge, my strawberry bed was pretty neglected once it was done producing. So it has overgrown like crazy. Just going to show you how I go about preparing it for winter. So you can see how overgrown it has become. It is filled out, it's got babies and runners all down the side, and they're planting themselves in my walk paths. So it's time to trim them down so I can cover them up for the winter and then get out any babies that I don't want. Okay, so I already started just chopping these down with my hedge shears so I can see what I've got under here and trying to get rid of some of this extra foliage. What I want is to make sure that my established plants are healthy and that they can go another year. Otherwise, I'm going to leave some of the starters that have set themselves, but that I need to figure out what everything looks like before I just let it go willy-nilly. When you're trimming strawberries down, you want to trim them very short. Probably about 3 to 4 inches from the ground. That way it allows the new growth to come up in the spring in between here. This one looks really healthy, but there's some that have planted themselves right along the edges here, and so I need to dig those up. First of all, I don't want a plant establishing itself this big right at the edge of my bed. And you could certainly, if you wanted to start a whole new bed of strawberries, you can take these and plant them and get them going. Oh my goodness. Still so many slugs in here. Alright, here's my bed all trimmed up, ready for winter. The soil was very wet and very heavy. I should have trimmed these back after they stopped producing. I found at least 30 slugs in here that I got rid of. I just put them in a bucket of salt water and that killed them right away. But there was actually, back in that corner, there was like a whole nest of slugs down in that corner. So I loosened all the soil. I just used my hand trowel here and just loosened everything. But anyway, it was took me about 2 hours to get through this, but it's all trimmed. Everything's ready to go for next winter. Now I did have two, let me see if I can find, I did have two plants that looked like they were dying. This one especially only had one little live sprig left on it compared to how the others were. So I left this start from the runner to be able to help compensate for this if this doesn't come up next spring, and then another little one here. So I have one on either side of it in case that one doesn't come up. This one is kind of like on its last leg. Kind of zoom in here. This one is only about half alive or so. It's not as healthy as the others. I left another start right here so that can add to that or compensate for it if that one doesn't make it through the winter. I did leave 2 new ones in the back too, so that they could kind of fill in the spaces. This year I planted like borage in here, and I planted a couple other things to try to fill in the areas. I think it just got way too crowded, just too much. The foliage was huge on the strawberries, but I think it was just way too much for this, and it next year I'm just going to have to be more careful with it. This is the first year I've had success in growing strawberries in my beds, so I was really happy about that, and the plants overall stayed very healthy. I just had that slug issue. Oh, here's another one. Found one. Where'd it go? Sneaky little guy. So they ball up and they turn it to, it looks like a rock, but they're slimy. So I throw it in my bucket with all the others. Look at all those. Ew. So I'm hoping that this, taking all these slugs out and then letting it air out now for a while. Before the snow starts really coming, I will put a layer of straw down this year. Last year I did leaves, and I think that allowed too much moisture in there, packed it in and left it too wet. So I'm going to do straw, but just kind of aerate the bed right now and let things kind of dry up. So the soil was starting to get some mold in it. As I dig it up, I can see, not this is my paper, but there were a bunch of other things in here. So I think next year I'll just use the straw. I won't do paper in here. So we'll just try to keep the roots and the plants as aerated as possible, and yet still allow for a good moisture and healthy plants. Anyway, this is done. Like I said, the only thing I have left to do for before winter is to put some straw in here. It'll be good. I cut these back a little bit more here. So I've got one more thing done in my winter preparation for my beds. This is our fall garden in Minnesota. It's winter prep. Anyway guys, thank you so much for coming along this journey with me and seeing what I do here in Minnesota for my beds. And we will catch you on the next one. So take care, God bless, and always have hope. Bye-bye.